Hello Pisces, welcome to July 2018. Thanks so much for being here as always. Gonna be a really interesting month for you guys, and the name of the game is meditate. I cannot stress the importance of that enough because there's going to be so much information that is available to you through that process. Answers to questions and questions that you didn't even know you were supposed to ask. All sorts of things. Mars retrograde in the 12th house can be an amazing, amazing time for spiritual growth. And there will be an experience occurring in your life that will sort of weirdly complement that growth as well, or trigger that growth, or can be used to facilitate the growth in some way. You know, the water trine, the water trine between Jupiter and Neptune, and Neptune and the Sun, and kind of all the water energies, plus the 12th house placement of Mars, plus the Mercury retrograde happening later in the month. You know, there's so much of this ethereal quality. And because you're Pisces, you know, you are so interconnected anyway. This month is absolutely going to be kind of its peak for the year. When you're going to have that ability to tap into it in a way that is easy. I think this is going to be more of an easy process. The feminine energies, not only do we have the water trine, but we're going to have an earth trine as well as Venus enters into Virgo. So, I mean, there's the feminine quality is at an all-time high. And Mars retrograding also especially kind of detracts from the masculine energy. So our insides are being highlighted now. Okay? I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to leave you guys with that. All right? Thanks so much. Take care. Hello, Pisces. Welcome to July. Is it me, or are y'all really in the heart space right now? I've been all in the feels this morning. It was kind of fitting because I'm sitting here in Montenegro and it's the first official day of rain, where it's raining too much to kind of go out and walk around and all that stuff. So I was like, how perfect could that be? Kind of a little drizzly day full of water for a water sign, working our way up to a water trine. You know, and I'll talk about that in the intro, I'm sure. Queen of Swords. There is an air of diplomacy coming out around a Queen of Swords this month. Not sharpness, not cruelty, not even necessarily an energy of imposing justice or delving out judgment of any kind, but rather being tactful and being mindful of others, and mindful of the extremely fragile energy that we are exhibiting right now, especially with a Mars opposing a Mercury retrograde, which we're kind of working our way up to. Mars retrograde in your 12th house. There is a lot of agitation, especially people who are not conscious, people who are not really aware of the energies that are at play, people that don't really know how to check themselves or how to hold back. A Queen of Swords is an extraordinarily wonderful energy to get this month, I would say, without question, because it's going to keep you composed. Keep you self-contained. The star, look, this is such a spiritual card, and with so many spiritual things hitting, you know, yes, Neptune's still in your sign, it's going to continue to be there for a long time, but Mars in the 12th house retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Jupiter in water, the Sun in water. I mean, it's all about connectivity. And now is an amazing time to sort of eject yourself from the world in certain ways as much as you can, specifically to allow new information to sort of download. Allow answers to come to questions that you didn't even know you were supposed to ask. To allow for directions, inspiration, to allow for new levels of understanding. The water in the star card represents spirituality. It represents a cleansing. My neighbor's doing some crazy stuff out there. Ace of Wands. We do need to prepare ourselves for these new directions that we're all sort of headed. There are new passions lining up for us. And when I say passions, I mean both worldly, both all, not both, but worldly, romantic, spiritual. The wands do represent our spirit. You know, they represent our will, you know. And so there's a level of inspiration here. Mars retrograde is going to bring about some very interesting insights, I believe. Even things like, I never thought about it that way before. Or, oh, wow, that's a really good idea, you know? And it's something that you can ponder on and you can meditate on, you can think about, and you can just sit with for a while. Another positive thing coming out with the Queen of Swords is deliberation. Now, sometimes she can be hindered by that, but in this case, I don't see that as being a hindrance at all. Not at all. In fact, it's going to work very much in your favor. Caution, deliberation, consideration, these are all things that will benefit you in the upcoming month, September, October. Five of Pentacles does indicate a card of isolation. Now, you may be isolating yourself. You may be feeling isolated from someone else. You may be needing time alone to regenerate and to really reconnect. Five of Coins often is like how we feel after some kind of loss has already occurred. So if some of you are feeling at a loss, if you're feeling like you were sort of shortchanged in a way, maybe someone treated you unfairly, maybe someone was like really projecting their stuff onto you and you had to leave a situation, maybe you had to reject someone that maybe you cared about a lot, but you know that it was for your greater good, but you're still like, feeling kind of bad about it. Good news is Ace of Wands is right around the corner. And a lot of times this does propel us into a state of growth. And I think in many ways you know that it was the right thing that needed to happen. In many ways you know that it was a necessary evil in order to get you unstuck. There may be quite a lot of questions as to whether or not it's the right thing or not, but please feel assured that it is. Sometimes during a Mars retrograde, especially alongside and opposing a Mercury retrograde, there can be a lot of second guessing ourselves, you know. Jupiter retrograde is kind of adding to that agitation as well. There's maybe even a question of, is it ever going to happen? And the answer, of course, is yes. And you're actually moving forward toward that with the Eight of Wands, in spite of maybe feeling like it's never going to happen. You're actually moving towards it. And that feeling of maybe it's never going to happen is a sign that it is in fact happening. You know? Eight of Wands can have a little bit of a storm-like quality, where perhaps this kind of, and I call it a download, right? But rather it's more just like a sudden understanding of something or a sudden idea or something. It's going to happen quite rapidly. There's security with the Eight of Wands. There's a safety here as well. This is something that you don't second guess. This is something that you know is of truth, and something that you feel secure in its truth. You embrace it and you celebrate it, okay? Well, you celebrate it. Now, a Three of Cups can be a frustrating energy, or it can be one of celebration, like I just said. Connected with the Five of Coins, you could be dealing with personalities or friendships, especially because Mars retrograde is happening in Aquarius, which is the sign of friendships. And you do have a lot of activity with the Pluto-Saturn retrograde in the 11th house, and then the Sun in the 5th house. I mean, there's kind of a lot of indications that friendships are on the docket, or co-workers, things like that. But if it is romantic, you know, things just could be just weird right now. You may need to reject certain friends and really pull away from the superficial, the people who are more superficial, because you are in a process of really redefining what your values mean to you with Neptune in your sign. This is a very long process of dissolving past belief structures. Now, I talk about this often in like my weekly bumps, where all the outer planets have their own way of bringing about transformation, you know, where Uranus is one of a shock factor and like quick, sudden, rapid movements and changes. Pluto is kind of this dark undercurrent that comes in almost seemingly as if from nowhere, and it's this dense fog in our lives. It just completely swallows us whole and spits us back out again. Well, Neptune has a kind of its own way of transforming us as well. And that's where it just is all of a sudden things just stop being important to us. Things we held on to so tightly, they seem to just like completely disappear. It's like, you know, like I have a pen. It's like if I were to be grasping onto this pen is a belief, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I'm like, well, where did it go? What am I even hanging on to? There's nothing there. And then all of a sudden that belief or that system or that idea needs to get replaced with something else. And I believe the things that you once took pleasure in no longer really are I mean, it's not even that they're not worth hanging on to, it's just that you're all of a sudden not hanging on to them anymore. All of a sudden you find and I say all of a sudden because Jupiter goes direct and we're doing this water trine. Like all of a sudden your level of spirituality takes a big jump. Right? It makes some kind of massive movements. It makes some serious progress kind of all at once. And then all of a sudden it's different. And you're like, wait, what just happened? Like, where did all that stuff go? It literally just dissolved right before my eyes. Where did it go? You know? And the Three of Cups can be, again, it depends on how you really go about looking at it. It can be a situation or something that you're like, oh yes, amazing, I'm happy I went through that because it taught me so much, and I'm happy that I made my way through it. Or you can look at it and say, I really need to get myself away from that, especially if you are dealing with friends and friends more specifically, I feel, who are gossipy and materialistic, superficial, who are more focused on just like whether or not this boy likes them or not, you know, without their own kind of sense of spiritual development. I see a very sharp analysis of this Three of Cups situation, a very, very sharp and, again, diplomatic and discriminating outlook, trying to, as best you can, completely remove any preconceived bias. That's one of the hardest things, you know, is to remove all bias, because it's kind of, in many ways, impossible. But still to be as unbiased as possible and to make a decision based on the facts rather than the feelings or the emotions, which again, because we are also in the feels right now, it can be a little bit challenging to do that or to accomplish that. But you can do it. I'm actually not getting a lot of feelings coming out in the cards. Maybe that's just me. I'm all in the feels today, maybe. I don't know, my heart's feeling very raw and exposed. I too am also privy to the energy at play. And I had an opportunity to be extremely real and authentic with someone, and I took it. He had asked me a question, and I deliberated. I was like, I could answer this question with like a 1 or 2 like kind of response text message back. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to be honest and completely tell him the whole truth and everything that, you know, kind of is explaining why. So I left him this like a WhatsApp voice message. It was like 10 minutes long. And I haven't gotten a response yet. And I feel so good about saying what I needed to say, but at the same time, it's like bothering me that I'm like, well, maybe I completely just shut that door, and that's perfectly fine. Like if that's the case, totally 100% okay with that. Not even a problem. Because we weren't like really good friends or anything. We didn't date or anything, so it's not like we were really hanging on to anything. But still, I'm feeling emotional about it at the same time. It's kind of a weird sort of paradox. Feelings about it, and maybe feeling sad about it, but then at the same time, you know, moving away from. I'm not a Pisces. I don't have any Pisces in my chart. I'm a 12th house Virgo, but I don't have actual Pisces in my chart. So this is your reading, guys. This is your reading. Not to project my own stuff onto you. Okay. So here we go. Page of Cups. There's communication. Again, sorry, not trying to talk about myself, but here we go. Page of Cups. There's communication. You know, you will be hearing from that person or that entity either directly or through the grapevine. These two qualities together, sometimes information can sort of slither through and kind of come in through the back door, and you're like, wait, what? And then you have to kind of verify it with the person that was said to originally have said it. This can also come as sort of just a text message or a, you know, Facebook ping. Usually the Page of Cups isn't like a huge amount of information coming. It's usually just a taste, a very, again, superficial little taste. If you are waiting or wanting to hear from someone, especially if that's someone who sort of put you in this 5 of Coins situation, you probably will. That's the nature of both Mars and Mercury retrograde. So we are getting a double whammy there. So people are sort of coming out of the woodwork, whether we like it or not. I think you have a very sharp focus toward this Ace of Wands, which is great. Do I have reversals in here? I do have reversals in here, you guys. We are not getting any, which is interesting. You're very much focused on the next thing, you know. And I think actually in maybe some ways, while there's a lot of gratitude for the 5 of Coins situation, for those of you who are handling it in a more mature way, there is still like an annoyance that you're kind of being held in this weird stagnation period. There might be annoyance that this person still feels like they are at liberty to contact you, even though clearly something happened and you're like, it's not welcome or it's not invited very much. Especially if there was, you know, something with your friends and you're just kind of pulling away. There seems to be a lack of invitation, and I don't quite know why I'm getting that vibe from you. I think it's this 5 of Coins. Like there's so much internal going on with you that outside interruptions don't quite seem to be, they will seem to be a little bit more of a nuisance. High Priestess, not surprised for you guys. Like I said, you are extremely privy to new spiritual development, new spiritual evolution right now. Now is absolutely the time to meditate as much and as often as possible, because the universe really will give you something. It can't not give you something. It has to. It has to provide something for you. And it's something that you are going to be able to use, you know? But you must find that quiet place. You must find that inner voice. Yes, because there's something you're not seeing. There's something around there, definitely, for sure. There's an energy around you that either you're not aware of, right? Which is why meditation is even that much more important, because it will help you to become aware. Or there's something you're turning a blind eye to. There's something you're either ignoring. Even though here, it's like here she's clearly looking at the Eight of Swords, right? But at the same time, there does seem to be some kind of misinformation. This row is this column is definitely going to need to get clarified in the comprehensive, because this could also even possibly be someone else. I feel like I'm actually getting it like a cross signal, okay, if I can say it that way. You have an Eight of Swords and someone else has an Eight of Swords. This is getting kind of a double whammy here. And I think you are going to provide insight for someone else this month. And in turn, through your meditations, you will receive clarification of something. You will receive that kind of, it's like you're the third party looking into a situation and providing clarity for someone else. And through your meditations, you're going to have that same kind of insight occur as well. Interesting that I'm feeling it really going both ways. It's kind of like that inflow and outflow of energy, a repayment, so to speak. And a Wheel of Fortune. I love a Wheel of Fortune for a Jupiter-ruled sign. And a Sagittarius card, which is also a Jupiter-ruled card. Beautiful. You may be dealing with a Sagittarian or someone who has that kind of vibe. What's going on with you and them? There could be a lot of growth with this person. They could be the ones that try to contact you, or this could be someone new coming in. Maybe someone new coming into your friend circle. You may be converting a romantic thing into a friend's thing, or a friend's thing into a romantic thing. I think philosophically this person is actually going to provide you a lot. There's possibility for a conversation. Possibility that this is the person whose Eight of Swords you sort of penetrate there. Help provide clarity for them. The energy is inwards, and then it's facing toward this Three of Cups. There may be a friendly union. Or maybe not. Why is this Three of Swords is, Three of Cups is really throwing me, because I'm just getting it so many different ways, and all of you are going to experience it in a different manner. It's not going to be like cookie cutter for all of you. It is going to be really positive for some, and it is going to be negative for others. The Five of Wands tells me that there is some kind of first of all, there is a difference in maturity level here. Okay, there's a difference in how well people handle criticism. You handling criticism, again, diplomatically, but this person does not handle criticism as well as a Queen of Swords at this time, clearly because of the Five of Wands. First of all, this seems to be some kind of a learning experience here. Okay, this seems to be some kind of process that is needing to occur at this time, which is again Mercury and Mars retrograde, plus with the water stuff. This is going to add to your spiritual conquest. Okay, it's going to add layers to what is needing to adding layers to like the meditations, right? It is so critical for you to tap into this lack of bias, because clearly this person has an effect on you. They agitate you in some way, they bother you, they trigger you in some way. And again, if it's a friend, it could be a best friend and you guys can certainly make it through. Or if it's a lover, this could be like a really transformative month for you guys, where if you choose to really stick together, you're going to have to make a point to say, okay, this is a learning experience where I'm going to teach you about you and you're going to teach me about me. And we got to go into it and know that, yes, we're going to push each other's buttons. And yes, we're going to trigger insecurities and we're going to trigger past childhood BS and nonsense. But if we can make our way through it, we have an exponential level of blessings here. And hopefully you guys will both be on board. If only one of you is on board with that, most likely you, if you're the only one, it's very, very possible that this kind of difficult energy could get pushed on in the months to come. If you talk about stuff, you know, you're going to have to be very clear. And you are, again, going to have to remain as unbiased as possible and be more factual and be more evidence-based. And be careful and be conscious of not projecting. See, the Queen of Swords is excellent when it comes to not projecting. Knight of Wands, not so great. You know, he's passionate. He's more spontaneous and more just like, let's do it day by day. And there's not a lot of long-term planning, you know, and this person is also probably pretty good at saying exactly what they need to say when they need to say it, but without a filter. And that can be very hurtful, especially with a Piscean energy, okay? Piscean, which can be extremely sensitive, plus with all the emotions flying around now. And to remain as cool-tempered as you can will be to your benefit. You may have answers revealed to you by this person as to why this Five of Coins occurred. Like I said, if this is a friend who's consulting you, they're going to be totally honest with you as to why this happened. I feel as this Three of Cups, it's almost like you and a friend are getting together to talk about another situation, or you and a lover are getting together and dealing with a third part. Like there's certainly a third party quality here, where there are multiple people involved in this little storyline. So yeah, I mean, but ultimately to have the Star and the Wheel of Fortune comes out tells me that this experience is going to push you into a whole new level of spiritual maturity, which is something to look forward to, but you are going to have to push through it a little bit, but you'll be fine, okay? All right, Pisces, I'm going to leave you with that. I wish you nothing but the best. Hopefully this provided you some insights. I will see you hopefully on the website for the comprehensive. If not, then I will see you next month. Thanks so much. Take care.